Good. It's because it's Sunday morning. Isn't that good? I'm excited. So one of the things I like to do at the conventions, besides just the Q&As, things like that, and of course the rock concert stuff, is that I like to sort of be semi-educational with the business side and the creative side, beyond just what's your favorite voice or line you ever said is Brock and James and Kyle and stuff like that, which is great. But the other side of this is that if you are interested in this business as an actor, or a director, or producer, or a composer, or a sound designer, or whatever it may be, I've been working in this business for over 25 years and worked on every side of the glass, both the production side and as an actor. And hopefully what I can do is give you some insight into what worked for me, some guidance, answer some questions you might have about that from a reality point, not just the fandom side. Because I believe that the environment, the community of the anime fans is filled with so many creative people, from writers to artists to actors to singers to musicians, all of that stuff. So that's what this one is about. I normally do either a directing panel or an acting panel. I figure I can combine the two if you have questions about both things. But I like to, I know that Dan does one that's very, we talked about the similar things that we talk about and the different things that we talk about, and he's definitely more technical about his approach to the acting side. I'm going to give you sort of more of the nuts and bolts of the path that I think helps in terms of at least getting your foot in the door places and stuff like that. So if anyone has a question they want to ask me, that's great. Otherwise I'll ramble because I can talk about this stuff forever. Does anyone want to start with a question? Yeah?
You said when you were doing Dark Side of Dimensions that you never heard Dan's voice until you actually went to the premiere. And I know it's very, very rare for actors. So I imagine you do usually, I guess you do, the actor has the most lines first, and then you kind of go down in descending order just by general availability. Do you not usually, when you do your lines, do you not go off a previous line, or do you just go, or did the director just say, here's your line, here's the situation, go from there, or do you not like hear someone and then the 4 beeps, or do you just get the 4 beeps?
So that's a great question. So the way we do these shows is different based on the format of these shows. So a prelay show is a show where the voice is recorded first and the animation comes second, right? So with prelay, the actor has freedom to say the line in any pace they want, loud, soft. It doesn't need to match any animation. But most of the time, we are recording alone. So if you had a punchline as your line, I might help you as the director to feed you the line for you to respond. Most of the time, we are acting in a vacuum. So you have the script, you can see what the line was beforehand and what the line is after, so that you can get an understanding of, oh, well, that actor's going to say this, and this is how I'm going to be funny off of that. And comedy is so specific to the people that you might have to read that line 3 or 4 different ways, all of which are valid, based on the fact that the director doesn't know exactly what they might ask the other actor to do as the straight line. Now, when I worked on Viva Pinata, I was the only director on the show, and there's a reason for that, is because when you're working prelay with comedy, you need to have one captain. I couldn't assign, hey, will you go direct him in the other room while I direct you, and you're in the same scene, and then we'll combine the lines and see if they work. They will never work. Because in my brain, I know exactly if you have the punchline, I can record him first, or I can record you first. Because I know exactly what I'm going to ask the other person to do to make it funny, right? So with prelay, great. Freedom, fantastic. ADR, matching lip flap. You're talking about the beeps. It doesn't necessarily start with the actor that has the most lines. It doesn't necessarily start with any logic like that whatsoever. The logic is schedule. only schedule. I recorded first in the movie. I was the first actor to record the entire movie because schedule. They brought me in. And also, a lot of times when you're doing a larger project that's got more eyeballs on it, that's theatrical release, stuff like that, it requires what we like to call a dog and pony show. If there are people visiting from who are the creators or the original Japanese, writers or producers, it happened to be the Japanese producer was in town that week, and they thought it would be great if Kaiba was there to record while he was visiting to see that we are doing the right thing and with the dub, which makes a lot of sense. It's all politics, and it was actually very flattering because I recorded the movie in, I think I did it in 2.5 days, and the Japanese producer came in during one of my battle scene days where I did a bunch of the duels. I think there's 3 duels in the movie. And he said, oh, the Japanese actor took 5 days to record those 3 duels, and you did it in 1. And I was like, well, we work fast here. And he got to do it without picture. Remember, the Japanese actor got to record it just wild. This is his lines. I had to match his performance. So that's how that works. It is nice if the conversation was recorded so that you had someone to play off of. When I was working on Pokemon, I would do all of Brock and then go back and do all of James, and if Brock's lines were in there that were related to a conversation, you turn on the other tracks so you could hear that. You have to be careful though, because I don't know if you ever heard of headphone bleed. But headphone bleed is if you're wearing headphones and you say a line off of someone else, their line comes out through the headphones and can be picked up on the microphone. If the line I am saying needs to be moved, you will hear that line, the piece of the end of the line, in the wrong place. It will be picked up on the microphone. If it's left exactly where I recorded it, no problem, because it's synced up with the line that came through my headphones. Not to be too technical with you, but so you have to be careful when you put the other track on that you keep it low so that it doesn't bleed through the headphones onto the microphone and then picked up on the show like that. But that's the other thing about these types of shows. Do I know how to duel? No. Do I know how Pokemon works? No. Do I understand, what is the water type to this and that? Well, I can tell that thing looks like it's from the water in this fire. It doesn't matter. None of that stuff is about what the emotion of the characters are doing. None of it. Everything that you're doing as an actor can be broken down into, when I do commercial work, my speech to my students will be like, okay, who am I, what am I talking about, and who am I talking to? If you ask those 3 questions and can answer them, you can read any script. Romeo and Juliet, how many times have we seen the story of Romeo and Juliet? I'm not talking about the Shakespeare Romeo and Juliet. How many times have you seen that story told? Hundreds. Because it is, the story itself can be reworked in many different forms, but it still works because of what the emotion is behind it. So I can play Brock because I understand who he is. I can play James because I get the concept of the character, or Kaiba. It doesn't matter what I'm talking about. I could be talking about, we could be playing sports. I could be playing tennis against Yugi because it's one-on-one. We could be playing basketball against him. Or, whatever it is. We could be fencing. The competition is the emotion. I'm losing in this move. I'm winning at this time. Am I frustrated? So getting into the minutiae, it will only bog you down as an actor. Breaking it down to the real, just nuts and bolts of it, will become very, very helpful. You should be able to read every script as if you know what you're talking about, even when you don't. And I can talk about how to build a car engine, use a feminine product. Doesn't matter. You'll believe that I know what I'm talking about. Because you break it down into, what is this a helpful thing? Is this not, And then the thing with the commercials, the 3 questions. So who am I? I don't mean who am I? Am I Brock? Am I James? Am I this? Am I that? Start with just who you are with your own voice. Funny voices are whipped cream. That's just like, oh, that's great that he's doing this very funny character. Yeah, but if the acting is awful, it doesn't matter. That's just, you're masking bad acting. You still have to come back to the core of the acting. So, who am I? Am I the friendly next door neighbor? So what attitude is that as Eric thinks about those characters? Am I the smarmy guy? Am I the cool best friend? And of course, we also use references of people we know. You know, I mean, there's so many times you're like, oh yeah, I went to school with a guy like that, or you know, that's my brother, or that's my sister. You know, like you think about things like that. What makes those characters in real life? You know, that annoying guy in the other cubicle. Oh, I know that guy, right? And the character you're playing might not be the annoying guy in the other cubicle. The character you're playing might be the rival in this cartoon. And when they start to describe what they're looking for, you're like, that's Bill. I know exactly how to do this. Sorry, Bill. But then the other thing is like, well, you know, what am I talking about? And I don't mean like, am I talking about a card game? Am I talking about, you know, well, this is a battle, this is a fight, this is an event, this is a challenge. Okay, I get it. I can put that together. And then, like, who am I talking to? Am I talking to like 100 people? Am I talking to like the guy across the table from me, giving them advice? You got to think about that dynamic. So all the other stuff doesn't mean anything. They're just the details. So you have to sort of double check with like the director. How do you say the name of this monster? That's really the questions you ask. You know, is the emphasis on it's a blue eyes white dragon or is it a blue eyes white dragon? Those are the kind of questions you ask. Not, so when I play this, how does it affect a trap card? No, that doesn't matter. Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Right? Makes sense. Break it down. Does that answer your question a little bit?
For the most part, I guess the second part was, at what point do they do the audio mixing? Do they do it like, do they put all Kaiba's lines and then all Joey's, or do they just go like scene by scene and put everything in order at once?
Oh, yeah, see, that would be nice if we did that. No, we do actors' lines to start to finish.
Okay.
Next actor, start to finish. And layers of the cake are dubbed like that. The engineer will have multiple tracks, sometimes crowd scenes too, so you might have 30 tracks of audio. Then there's music tracks, there's sound design tracks. That's for a show like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon, with multiple characters and things like that. But no, it would be nice if things were shot in order. It would be nice if you could get everyone in to rehearse, do a scene. Great. Now with radio plays, if you've ever done like a radio drama or something like that, you can rehearse. And you can make sure that everybody in every scene is solid and then record it. That's great. Ensemble cast stuff is great. With radio plays, like the headphone bleed and with radio commercials that have multiple characters, you must be careful about stepping on each other's lines, which means speaking before that other person is completely done talking. And I'm talking about splitting hairs here. I can have a dialogue in a radio commercial with someone where it sounds like I am stepping on every one of their last words. And yet, when you look at that audio in Pro Tools, you'll see that there's a gap. We're not overlapping. The reason is, if you decide that my timing to your answer is too tight, you need to be able to open up the space. Or replace the line because you have a better one you want to put in there. If we have recorded together and I am stepping on your line, you will hear me on your microphone, the other actor's microphone, unless he or she is in another room. Most of the time we're all in the room together. If you've ever done a radio play, you're probably all in the same booth together. You might even be working on the same microphone if you don't have a fancy studio. Hopefully you have your own mic. But it also means if you have your own mic and I have my mic, if I say my line in the same room as you, my voice is going to pick up on your microphone in the background. So I can't step on your line because the engineer will kill us both, not being able to open it up. So that is also, I consider dialogue or that kind of stuff, it's a dance. You have to be paying attention to the other actor completely. Sometimes you'll do a two-character spot with someone who is not very good, and you've got to save that scene. Or you might be working with someone who likes to ad lib, and you need to feel what that person is going to do, even if there's no rehearsal. If you're only going in with your own intent, and this is what I'm going to do no matter what's going on around me, it will never sound like a dialogue, and you will end up stepping on someone's lines, missing comedic beats, whatever it is, or even dramatic beats. So you have to listen to what the other person's doing. Now, if you have the flexibility of having a rehearsal or a run-through so that you can do that. And of course, you can also talk to the other actor if you're doing it. I'm talking about a radio commercial where two characters are talking. A lot of times, those things are not that funny when they want to be funny. So they ask the actors to save the script by peppering in some ad-libs, some funny little things that are not on the script. So one actor might say, I'm going to leave a comedic pause here. It would be great if you want to do something in there. And it might be like, so I'm going to go to the thing. And the other guy goes, what? You don't think that's a great idea? So that might not have been on the script, that But if that actor is going to throw that in there, then you mark your script, okay, I'm ready for that actor's going to put that in there. I better be prepared for that. Or that actor might physically cue you, because nobody sees you when you're doing voiceovers, right? So if you're working with another actor, it's a good idea to not have two characters standing side by side. They should be facing each other. Music stand, microphone, microphone. Do I look at that character? Do I need to see that other actor with my eyes? No. Do I take my eyes off the script ever? No. Too many times have I worked with stage actors and movie actors who think they need to memorize their lines. Why would I take the time to memorize my lines as a voice actor? I have the best crutch in the world. The page in front of me has a script. I did a radio play recently with stage actors. We did a live performance in front of a studio audience, and we had the scripts in front of us. You know how many times these stage actors, there were only 2 professional voice actors in this production. Most of them were stage actors, very good actors. But they would do things like this. I don't know what you're saying, Bill. Bill's back, by the way. And I'm like, my goodness, you lost your place because you were trying to memorize lines where you killed the timing of the read. Just keep your face on the page. It doesn't, just stare at the lines. You can still act and gesture and do all of that stuff, but you keep your face and your mouth near the mic and you keep your eyes on the page. So in the booth, if you're doing a 2-character spot with someone, and they're just on the other side of, you've got your music stand here, they've got theirs there, and you can see them over the music stand without having to look up at them, right? So if that other actor is going, look, man, and you see them physically move, you can feel where they're going to come in. And they can also feel where you're going to stop. And it's a dance. You're paying attention to the physicality, but not looking at them. And that's key. The other thing is that in terms of acting, when you go into audition or you go into even do a booking, right? Your own, who you are. You make a conscious choice, especially in audition, you make a conscious choice to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, based on this direction that's on the page here and what the director just told me, I'm going to do this. Remember what that choice is. It could be wrong, which if they say, that was not anything we want to hear ever again. Don't do that. Not that. You go, okay, got it. Because I remember what I just did. Or, that is exactly what we want. We just need it a little faster. And you go, great. I remember what I just did. I'm going to do it a little faster. Many of my actor friends will do an audition or read something and you say, that was fantastic, let's just do it a little faster, and now it's a different voice. Now it's a different energy. It's not even close to the same inflection, the way that they chose to hit certain words. It's not that long a script, and you're like, that is nothing like you just did. And they're like, well, can I hear back what I just did? See, that's a waste of my time as a director. So when you make your choice, make a conscious choice, but remember what that choice was. It doesn't just come out of the air. I call it your bag of tricks. I don't do 100 different character voices. Some of my actor friends might tell you that they do that. I can do 300 different characters. Well, I don't think so. There are a couple of guys I know that can do that, like the great Billy West. I mean, Billy is hilarious and is a great impersonator. He probably could do that. Majority of us, not so much. What I think we do is we do maybe 10 to 15 core characters, and then we add things like, let's change the accent. Let's give Brock a British accent. He's a new character, right? Let's lower the register of that character, and now he sounds a little different. Or, I kind of do a good Schwarzenegger, but it's not exactly right, so I'm going to do a hybrid of that and something else. So you sort of take these core things and you blend and you add spice to it, and that's how you change them up, right? So that's in your bag of tricks. If I go in for an audition and I see it's the nice guy from AT&T who's going to be helpful in the store, I know exactly what two different approaches I'm going to do. I'm either going to be friendly, sugary sweet Eric. Hi, welcome to AT&T, how can I help you? The guy that you want to punch in the face and not hang out with, but yet we'll sell phones. Oh yeah, you're going to buy a phone from me, trust me, because I'm the most helpful guy in the world. Or the laid-back cool guy from AT&T. Hey, welcome to AT&T, what are you looking for, a new phone? Yeah, we got them all, man. Oh, cool guy. I want to be cool like him and have a cool phone like him. Right? So that's in my bag of tricks. Well, can we make the guy a little older? Yep, starting from place I started, good. Cool guy older? Got it. Cool guy more stoned? Got it. Friendly guy, even lighter, like and happier. Big grin, got it, right? So starting from a place, I'm not going to start in the wrong place. We need you to be the guy from AT&T to be like, hey man, welcome to AT&T. Like, what are you doing? I don't know. It's not from Texas? It's like, so I know where to start. The same thing with all of that stuff. A bank spot. Am I the next door neighbor that is financially secure and has some good advice for you? Is that a guy that yells and screams to go buy a new car? No, that's I know saving for college is hard. But we're here at Regions Bank can help you out. Ooh, he sounds knowledgeable and I'm nervous about spending money, so I trust him. Right? These are all places and all things in my little bag of tricks. So know what you do well, simplify what you do, and then those are the things you reach into your bag when you have that audition. Because you're not going to be brought in for something that doesn't make sense for you to be there. I'm not going to go in for, well, we need this elderly Southern woman and we brought you in. Can I do that in a cartoon? Oh yeah. Could I do that in a commercial? Probably not. That's not in my bag of tricks, right? I'm also an actor that turns down work when they say, we need someone that does an authentic this accent. And I'll say, I do a comedic version of that. I am not authentic. Well, what do you mean you're not going to read for it? I can do this, and this, but that's not really my thing. There are guys that do that better. Can you impersonate this famous person? That's not what I do. Because I feel if I do that for a casting person, and I'm not good at doing that, they're not going to call me in for anything. If I'm honest about it, they'll say, oh, well, can we hear what you can do? Like, we've got another approach to it, this and that. I can do that. But to volunteer that I can do everything that you possibly send to me, I've been a casting director. I don't want to hear that. I'd much rather the actor is honest. Because, you're going to waste my time. And yes, you probably can all do Christopher Walken, not that I ever want to hear it. Just saying. So anyway, anybody have another question for me in the madness? The voiceover world. Yeah?
Out of every voice character you've ever done, how does it feel to be remembered as Kai?
Well, Kai is a great character for all of that stuff. Kaiba is not that much of a character voice. Kaiba is an attitude. Kaiba is a very complicated, sarcastic, family-driven, greedy, competitive manipulative character that requires the subtlety that makes him still someone that people want to be. You have to feel for a character somewhere. If you hate them completely, you don't care what happens to them. You only care that they get, destroyed. Scary villains are boring to me. That sort of, I'm a big scary monster, I'm going to kill. It's like, oh, please. Psychological villains are much more scary, and they also there's something about them that you feel almost sorry for. Do you hate the Joker? Nobody hates the Joker. Is the Joker a criminal? Is he a bad guy? But we don't hate him. There's something about him that we feel sorry for, or that we feel that he's human, right? So playing something like Kaiba, you have to do the same sort of thing. You have to approach that as, I'm a rival, I'm not a villain. I could be a jerk, but I'm not evil, I'm not bad. So yeah, it's nice to be recognized for that stuff. Is that my best work as an actor? No. It's one of the things I'm proud of, but I think there are pieces of a lot of the stuff that I do that I go, ooh, that was really good. Things that are more, like Kaiba's not a challenge for me as an actor as the toughest thing. It is a challenging role, because you could easily go the wrong way with it, or with a way that I would not think is appropriate for him, and he could definitely just come across as a complete jerk and no one would like him. But to me, the comedy stuff is fun to do. James from Team Rocket has got subtle comedy in it that is, some of the best lines ever. Now, I didn't write those lines, but I delivered them in a way that was funny, that's memorable. So, but even there's some commercials that I've done, and audio books that I've done. The notoriety is very flattering, but I don't know. I wouldn't say like this. You want to hear how great an voice actor I am? Here's Kaiba. That's what I can do. I might say something like, here's Peggy Pudgeon from Viva Pinata, where I play Joe Pesci. Some of the funniest stuff I've ever done. Also a prelay show where I didn't have to match lip flap. So my timing is my timing, not dictated by animation. So, all right. Anyone have a question about the business side, or like how to get into this stuff, or anything like that? Yeah.
So pattern I see with a lot of voice actors is that they got a lucky break.
Right.
I guess, and we're in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's not a real big voice acting.
It's okay.
But yeah, how would somebody in this room get a lucky break?
Good question. So that's a great question. So can you be a big fish in a small pond? Yes. Every community requires the services of a voice actor. Does every community require the voice actor for a cartoon? No. But cartoons are a small part of what I do as a voice actor. To you guys, you know me as a cartoon voice actor. But I have had a career that has been much more lucrative, if you can imagine, as a commercial voice actor. I do industrials for car companies, where I do training videos, not on camera, but I do webinars where they learn how to talk to clients and stuff like that. Voiceover stuff that never airs. It's called in-house. That's what we call that. So those are industrials, as they call it. I do audiobooks. I do phone prompts. Please press 1 for more if you want to talk to somebody who's never going to call you back. I do that too, right? So there are all of those jobs required in every community. So how do you do this? Well, first, theater, any acting you can do is always going to be a great thing. You should be acting. That's important. Am I a stage actor? No. Have I done plays? Yes, I did them in school, stuff like that. Is that something I want to be doing? No. But I learned from a great director. I also learned from directing. I worked in that field so that I was basically going to school for that sort of stuff. But if you have friends that were doing improv groups, or there's community theater, stuff like that, great. That's a great thing to look for, and I know that in Chattanooga that's going to happen. The other thing is radio stations and advertising agencies. So I'm sure here, because I live in Nashville, I'm sure that here in Chattanooga there's something like, Alexander Ford or Bob Jones Chevrolet or something like that, where there are 5 or 6 locations in this area owned by the same company, whatever it may be. I'm just using a car company example. Well, that means that that's not a national product. It's a regional product. That car company doesn't have enough stores, locations, to be paying a very expensive advertising agency in New York or LA or Chicago to record what's called a national campaign, where you know the difference between a national commercial and a regional commercial, because the regional commercial usually doesn't look so good, and it's usually the guy that is the owner of the car company, local car company, on camera, and you can't understand a word he's saying. Okay. And then the national ones look all slick, and they've got, oh, I know that song, because they spent, the $50,000 to get the rights to that thing. Whatever. There's an advertising agency in this town that is producing those local commercials. And if there's an advertising agency in this town, they probably have a casting department. They might even take demo reels for voice actors. And if you lived here and you were, let's say you went to a voice acting coach, like someone like me, right? And I helped you produce a demo reel, which is coaching as well as recording fake commercials that sound real. And we'll get to that in a second, because it's a very important part of this. If that advertising agency has a casting department and they take casting tapes from actors, and you say, hi, I'm a professional voice actor here in Chattanooga, and I'm wondering if you would like to keep me on your roster as potential voice actor. And they're like, great, yeah, we'll take your demo, thank you so much. They might call you in for auditions. Radio station. Going to a radio station and asking them for a job, you will not get hired. Nobody has money to do that, especially now. Going to a radio station and saying, hey, I really want to learn about this part of the business, voice acting, production. Even if you don't want to be a radio DJ. And there are very few radio stations that still have live personalities. Local ones do. If you went to them and said, I really want to learn this, I've got X amount of hours a week, I can intern. Now, I know what you think, oh, intern, whatever, that's no money. Yeah. The difference is, if you say to someone, I'm passionate about something, I will give my time to learn. If you wanted to be a great carpenter, you would find the best carpenter in town and say, I will sweep up your shop, I will hang your tools up, I will do all of this stuff if I can just shadow you. Be a true apprentice. Because gradually in that business, you learn their craft, and as they got busier and busier, they would say, hey man, can you do this, build these cabinets and hang them in Mrs. Jones' house? Because I can't, I don't have the time. You will start to work, and then potentially have your own business. The same thing with the radio station. If you said to someone, I will make coffee, make copies of the script, keep the studio clean, in return, I just want to be able to sit in and watch some of the shows so I can learn. What will always happen, especially if you say that you're also a voice actor, and that's why you want to do this. As a producer, I will tell you, what happens is this. Live reads come in to radio stations all the time. They're like 5-second tags or a 10-second thing where there's a special offer at the local McDonald's or some restaurant that's going on, and they need someone immediately to read this. Now, their on-air personality might be an older male voice, and they want a younger guy, or they want a girl to do this. That producer never has enough time to do a casting session and start sending the script out to casting people to then get auditions back. What they do is, what's your first name? Jeremy. They go, we need a cooler, younger guy for this. Didn't Jeremy say that he's interested in voice acting? He's just in the kitchen. Let's see if he'll come in and read this and see what he does. You do a good job on that, then every time that kind of stuff comes in, all right, Jeremy, we got another gig for you, and of course you get paid for that. And you start to establish a relationship that way. That's what I did. I was the coffee guy. I took out the trash in the studio, and I started to have to go in for all the young guys' stuff that they were doing at a production company. I would read casting session. I would be the anchor if it was the helpful guy at AT&T and it was funny women that were coming in to be the comedy. I was the straight guy against the comedic stuff when the actors that were supposed to read for that role didn't show up for the auditions. We called in 10 guys, and only 5 of them showed up because they had other things going on. Eric, we need you again. Eric, we need you again. And then the client would listen to the casting tape and say, we want to book that guy. That'd be me. Because I read it like 4 times. They got used to it. So that's a way to say I'm working for free, but I got my foot in the door. If you get your foot in the door, it's who you know. You're working with them, you're friends with them. Now let's go back to the demo reel. Should you write your own scripts, record them in your house, edit them with music, and consider yourself, I've got a professional demo reel? No. Should you, I can do the Geico Lizard. I do a great impersonation of the Geico Lizard. I'm going to read the Geico spot I just saw in that national campaign. I'm going to take that script and I'm going to show that I can do it. Is that a good idea? No. What you need to do, if you want to be a truck driver, if you want to be in the Teamsters, you have to drive a truck. If you want to drive a truck, you have to be in the Teamsters, the Catch-22. What you need to do is find real commercials and localize them. Because if you're doing, come into McDonald's this week and you'll get this and that and a side of fries here in Chattanooga. If you do something that's regional, and I'm a casting person in Chicago, and I hear your demo reel, and I hear you've done some McDonald's stuff, but a spot that I would never have heard because it's only running in Tennessee, or this part of the country, I am not judging you as someone who hasn't worked in the business. I'm judging you as someone who's worked in the business that I just haven't heard because I don't live in that part of the country. If you did the Geico Lizard spot, I would say, great impersonation, but he's not the actor that plays the Geico Lizard. I know that. So maybe all of these spots are fake. So whoever you go to produce your demo reel, let me ask you a question. There's like this group of people in here, right? This amount of people in here. If I ran a voiceover class where I recorded each one of you coming up into a microphone here during our class, and at the end of our 3 or 4 weeks of class work, gave you a demo reel, would that be the best way to really produce each and every one of your demo reels in a class situation like this? Would I make a lot of money if I did that? Oh yeah. You need to work with someone one-on-one. They need to pull scripts for you that are specific to what you can do and what they think you can do. And you record more than you'd ever use on that demo reel. Does anyone want to take a guess at how long a commercial demo reel should run? What's the length? How many minutes? Someone want to take a guess? Less than 2.
90 seconds.
About a minute 10. Because anybody that's going to listen past that is related to you. I'll know as a casting director in the first 15 seconds whether I want to hire you or not. So if I read a full 60-second commercial, it's a real commercial, and it's a good spot, I can't put that whole thing on the demo reel. I take a good snippet of it. You get my energy, maybe the product name, hopefully, in the piece I'm using, and the character. Now, could I fade out the music from one spot and bring the music into the other spot and make it seem like a nice transition? No, because if these were real spots, I don't have all of the individual elements. I'm given my final full commercial for this one. I've got this industrial here. They're mixed. Everything is put together. I don't have the music separate so I can transfer it to what a lovely transition. He cross-faded the music together. No, because you would come to an engineer like me and say, here's a stack of things I did. Can you cut them together and make them exciting? So there are hard edits, hard cuts. It goes from one thing to another. It's boom, 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 boom. Sometimes you can quickly fade something out, then cut in with another spot, because that's the way the elements were given to you. If you crossfade, if the engineer you're working with, whoever's doing your demo reel, starts doing all this additional production stuff, I, as casting director, am going to go, this is a fake reel. And I'm no longer listening to your ability. You might be great, but immediately I'm thinking, do I give this person a job, or would this be their first job? Right? You also need to live up to what your demo reel is. The students I've worked with get to the point where they can recreate it. And then when I produce their demo reel and give it to them, I say, now listen to this demo reel. And these voices on these, and when I say voices, I don't even mean characters. It's like energy. The lighter one, the serious one. This is a different bag of trick voices. You're going to be asked to do stuff like this because that's what you are presenting to the world. They're going to listen to this demo reel and they're going to say, yeah, we really liked your reel. We're thinking cool young guy, for this kind of spot. And you think to yourself, cool young guy, that's that Pepsi commercial on the demo reel that I have. I know exactly what they want. Right? Because they're going to give you things, they're going to ask you to do things in the parameters of what you presented to the world. If you put stuff on that's kind of good, I do an amazing British accent. Really? Is it really dead on, or is it just a cartoon version of it? No, it's good. And you do it for the coach and they say, it's not great. It's okay. It's not going on the reel. Right? Now the other thing is, dialects, regionalisms. Can you turn off the twang? If you can't, that's what you just do. That's who you are. If you can, you will broaden your horizons to what you can do as a voice actor. Because as a voice actor, the fun part about that is you can play any character you can sound like, not what you look like. I am limited to the roles I can play based on this, whatever this is. But I have played men, women, old, young. I've been British, German, Asian, anything that I can sound like, not what I look like. So, the more you can dial back the things that you're locked into, the better. And some people go, I don't have an accent. You do. And that's not a bad thing, right? Because the other thing too is, can you dial it into different areas? Like, okay, so I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a Brooklyn accent. I can do it, and I can do it to different degrees because I grew up in those neighborhoods, and all of the guys in the neighborhood are in my ear. I know how those guys talk. I also live in Tennessee, and if someone asks me to do a Southern accent, I can do it, but I say, well, what state are you talking about? Because there's no such thing as a Southern accent. Are we talking Georgia? Are we talking Tennessee? Are we talking Texas? Right? So if you do have an accent, then master the degrees of it, because you probably can turn it up real thick, and you probably can dial it back. You probably have got together with your family at a fancier occasion where maybe it's a good idea to not be so over the top. And you've probably had a fun barbecue where it's good to be, over the top. It's the same thing with me. I go back home with my guys, my neighborhood guys, and I don't have that dialect. It will come out, and I never had it, because the other thing is, if you have a great ear, have you ever been in a situation where a bunch of people are talking, maybe with a British accent, and you're not from there, and all of a sudden you find yourself speaking with a British accent, and you're like, oh my God, am I being rude? I'm not mocking them. It's because we as people, we like to assimilate. We like to feel part of the community. If you live in an area long enough, you start to pick those things up because that's how everyone is speaking, right? It just means you have a great ear. So, start to listen to what you're doing and also say, well, the guy that I work with is way over the top, sounds like he's from the sticks. I can imitate him. But the other guy that I work, my boss, seems very sort of, he's got a different kind of southern twang. I'm going to start trying to do his accent. Because that will give you more range. If you can turn it off completely, or you can turn off your New York accent, you can turn off your Midwestern accent, that's very helpful. And a good coach should be able to help you analyze that stuff, because sometimes we don't hear it ourselves. So that's another thing. All right, we've got a couple more minutes. We've got another question for me. Yeah, in the back.
There was a line you did in James that they played backwards. Leo doing that, and poor kids are the devil.
Yeah, but that doesn't really have anything to do with the voiceover 101.
The unfair side, the unfair business side of voice acting, how's that?
The unfair side. Well, there's a couple of things. One is when you do union work, which I'm a SAG-AFTRA actor, which is now called like SAG-AFTRA. SAG-AFTRA. It's like a combined word. It's like too many letters. But it's SAG and it's AFTRA. They merge. When we do work that's in the union for commercials, we get paid residuals, which is really nice. You get a session fee, so you might get a couple $100s to record it. Let's talk radio and TV. So, radio commercial, and then it's aired all over the country for either an 8-week cycle or 13 weeks. And during that time, they tally up what cities it ran in, and you get a check. After that 8-week cycle or 13-week cycle, if they want to run it again, they got to pay you that session fee again, and you don't have to do anything. And then you get residuals again. And all of that money goes through SAG and SAG-AFTRA, and the union takes a small percentage and puts that in your pension and health. If you earn a certain amount of money per year, I think it's $15,000 a year in commercials, you get health care for free. You pay union dues to be part of the union, and that's sort of the trade-off. They're keeping track of that stuff. If a company doesn't pay the money that they owe, they get blacklisted, it becomes a big deal. Great, you've got someone fighting for you. And then you have right-to-work states, like Tennessee, where people do non-union work, where I understand the concept of being able to not tell people they can't work. I respect that part of it. But the problem is the undercutting of each other. If you come to me in a right-to-work state and say, Eric, how much to record this commercial? And I say, $500. And it's a buyout. There's no residuals. So usually a buyout is more expensive than a union job because there will be no back-end residuals, right? They can use it forever if it's a buyout job, so you ask for a little bit more money. They say, Eric, how much? Oh, that's a $500 job. Ooh, okay. And then they go to you, and you say, I'll do it for $400. And they go to you, and you say you do it for $3, and then you do it for $2, and you do it for $1. Now it's a $50 an hour job. So all that's done is told the production company, well, I mean, I can get the same voiceover thing for $50, well, I'm going to pay that guy $500. Oh, because he's so much better. But it doesn't matter. We as actors, that's what the union does, is make it so that we protect each other. You can't pay us less than the minimum. But in a right-to-work state, we can renegotiate and undercut each other. And that's why to be a professional voice actor in a right-to-work state is tough. Because you can't live on buyout alone. If you did 100 spots for the year and made $50 a spot, you can't live on that. But if you did 3 union national television commercials, you could. So here's how TV stuff works. TV commercials hold what's called a conflict. I used to be the voice of Planters Peanuts. I was not allowed to do any other salty snacks. So that you wouldn't recognize me as the voice of Planters Peanuts and Lay's potato chips. Well, peanuts, it doesn't matter. Same category. Well, what if I only do 2 spots with you and Lay's wants to hire me for 5 spots? Don't worry. By being the voice of Planters, we're going to pay you a guarantee per spot, whether we use it or not. so that you can turn down other companies. Oh. So let's just use an arbitrary number. So normally, a TV voiceover might pay you about $350 for the session, and you might earn about $15,000 in residuals for that cycle, for a national spot. It's pretty good, right? But I'm only doing 2 spots for you guys. So that's like $30,000 that I'm gonna, but what if it doesn't run? What if you just record me and you don't run it? I don't make that $15,000. We're gonna give you $5,000 guarantee on that spot, each spot, whether we use it or not. And then if we do use it, you make up above that. So you can turn down the other work. You'll never see that in a right to work state. You'll never see that in any sort of agreement that's non-union. So it makes much more sense to do something like that through the union. Well, how do you do that? Well, you can audition nationally from here. As long as you have either a decent home setup or access to a recording studio. So, what does that mean? My first recording studio was my walk-in closet. 3 sides of clothes, a door, a pole light, and a carpet hanging on the door. That was my first studio. When I had that studio, I actually also did music in there, and I auditioned, I submitted a guitar vocal 5-song demo, which got me the Ringo Starr tour. So it was decent enough for that, right? My new studio now, I've got a home studio where I have a vocal booth that I built. I'll work on a laptop, I've got some outboard gear. Not too crazy, but I've got a very good mic. And it's quiet. It's quiet. That's the key. How much money would it cost any one of you to set up your own good home studio? Do you have a spare bedroom? Do you have a good walk-in closet? Do you have a quiet space? Do you have a decent laptop? Great. I mean, that's going to be the most expensive thing, probably. My microphone is $700. You could spend $1,800, $2,000. There's some great mics. I love the mic I use. Mics are specific to the voice. And I can talk about that in a second. And I have Pro Tools. There's a program called Audacity, which is Pro Tools free. Pretty much, the basic stuff. Same format, just doesn't look as pretty, but it does a lot of great stuff. It's the same waveform stuff, editing stuff like that, and it's free download. So it's your laptop, it's your microphone, and it's your program. So your program is free, I got a decent laptop, I got a great microphone, and I need a quiet space. And I really need a quiet space. Because whatever I'm going to do, whether it's audiobooks, whether it's auditions, it just needs to sound good. No one needs to see you. They don't need to see that you're sitting in a closet with clothing around you. They won't see you. When I work with my clients, they sometimes direct me on my iPhone. My iPhone sits on my music stand, and we chat. They don't see me. It's not like we're FaceTiming. They don't need to see me on the microphone. We just chat. So that's the investment. When I first started, that would have been like a $10,000, $15,000 investment because of the price of equipment and I can't the program I need. And no, I'm sure all of you have a decent working laptop. If you have a Mac, you're more in my family. It's just more audio friendly. But that's it. I even have a portable setup. I don't know if you know the company Focusrite. All of their stuff is red. It's really kind of sleek looking. I have a 2-input Focusrite box that is under $300. You can plug your microphone into it. It's got mic pre's in it, so that's what we can change our level of the microphone. And it's got a USB cable that goes to your computer. That's it. I mean, it weighs nothing. It's the size of a small little book. I can throw it in my knapsack and go and do an audition up in my hotel room, as long as I have a microphone with me. It's got a USB cable. That's it. So there's so many things that are now accessible and inexpensive that are decent. Audiobooks. ACX.com is the hub, the production hub for Audible. Every one of you today could audition for an audiobook. There are hundreds of titles that are looking for narrators. Before you do it, be ready to get to work. Have your setup ready. I have a student that I coached who is now only doing audiobooks. She quit her day job. That's what she does. Because what it takes is a couple of authors that love what you do, and they have a lot of books, right? So how does that work? Audible has a free page. You upload segments of you reading. There's scripts all over the site. You can download a page or two. That's long form stuff. So you want to show them that you're reading a full minute of a book. You read a page, upload a children's story, science fiction. Upload that as a sample. And there are players on your page. It's free. It's like you just upload them. It's like SoundCloud, right? You also dictate how you want to be paid. By the finished hour, or by 50% of the royalties of every download of the author's share. So, someone has written their first book and wants to hire you to record their book with a royalty split. You say, it's your first book, there's no track record. I might make $7. But it's the new Harry Potter book. You go, no problem. Right? So how do you find that out? Well, the author's name, you take a look at Amazon, see where they are on the charts, see how many books they've had out before you say yes. So on the Audible page, ACX page, you write, price negotiable. Will work for royalty or flat rate. And what could the flat rate be? $100 per finished hour, $200 per finished hour, $400 per finished hour, $500 per finished hour, depending on who you are. If you have a name as a voice actor, and I've read your book, I might be able to ask for more per finished hour. Do you want to edit and do all of the production side? Dan does a lot of audiobooks where he doesn't do the editing. They do it. Someone else does it on that side. I do soup to nuts. They send me the script, I read the whole thing, I clean it up and edit it, I make sure it sounds the way I want it to be out there in the world, and then upload the stuff to the Audible site for approval from both production. Audible checks the quality, and the author listens and signs off. Audible acts as your money agent. No money is exchanged between you and the client. You don't have to chase after them. If they don't pay through Audible, their book doesn't get released. And if it's a royalty split, I know I'm bombarding you guys with a lot of information, but I want to get this out before the end of our little panel here, and it's important. If it's a royalty split, it can only be sold on Audible's site so that they can keep track of it. If that author agrees to a royalty split, and then you see it's on Amazon, and you see it's on their personal site where downloads are coming in, and Audible can't keep track of the streaming, they've broken the contract and Audible goes after them. You don't have to. If it's a per hour, per finished hour, if the book runs 6 hours, but it took you 40 hours, you're not paid for the 40 hours. You're paid for the 6 hours. So the faster you can read and edit, the more money you make at the end. If they give you a buyout of just the finished hour, they can sell it anywhere they want. So if it's someone's first book, you give them a rate that you know is going to make you whole. Maybe it's $200 an hour, $300 a finished hour. You might make $600-800 for that audiobook. Thank you very much. I don't care what you do with it. If it sells one copy, great. If it sells a bunch of copies, then I rolled the dice and I lost. But I'm pretty much going to bet that your first book is would not have made me more than $800 in royalties. Because remember, every book that's downloaded, if it's like, I don't know, let's say it's $15, and the author's making $7, and that's split, you're making the $3 from it, you got to sell a lot of books to hit $800. So, but that's a great site to get started with, to even audition, because you can audition every day, multiple times for multiple books. And if you have free time, because remember, no one's directing you during these books. These are recorded, right? You do it in your own time in your own house. So you come home from work, maybe you have some dinner, and it's from 7 to 10 at night, you jump into your closet and you record an hour's worth of the audiobook and do some editing. Then you go to work. oh look, Saturday I've got some time to do 2 hours of recording. Because they give you, I think it's something like 15 days you have, or was it 5 days you have to give them the first 15 minutes to make sure you're in the right style once you get the booking. And then you have like a month to deliver the book. So if you take a shorter book, you can fill in your time that way, and it's a great way to get your chops as a voice actor, and it's a great way to also learn how to edit, and no one's standing over your shoulder going, come on, let's get this done. No pressure, right? You can keep messing up. Just don't take on a book where you got to do a tremendous amount of characters, their voices. Start with like, you know, maybe some boring, there's a bunch of romance novels. There's so many of those that are looking for narrators. I can't do those things. I do a lot of the really annoying business ones. Like, if you want to manipulate this meeting, what you really need to do is set the question up so that your client, I do all of those things. And then I have to stop every once in a while and go, oh, this is disgusting, I need to shower after this, this is so slimy. But I do them well. And then I also do a bunch of these sarcastic vampire thrillers that are all sort of like, as if Dennis Leary is telling stories about, like, you know, the Vampire Diaries or whatever it is. And they're comedic and they're also kind of gory and they're fun. I work for one author. He has like 30 books. And basically I contact him and go, you want me to do another one? So that's great. If you hook up with an author that loves your stuff, you will have more work than you know what to do with. Listen. All right, last question, then I got to wrap it up because I got to say goodbye to Dan Green before he's got to fly out of here. Yeah.
How do you determine when is the right time to join SAG? Plus, whatever the thing is, because I remember there was a big issue when SAG joined with another union, that there was a part in the contract that a lot of voice actors didn't get to look at. That made it really difficult for. It was really good for people in already in the business and who are already kind of big, but it was really hard for the little guy to get his first step in.
Right. There's a fee. When I joined SAG, it was $700 a year. I think now it's probably $2,000 or something crazy like that. But you can work with what's called a must join. You can do your first job, and then the second just as sort of a pass, free pass. But you put the payment through SAG, and they go, oh, thank you so much for showing that you want to be part of us. But then the next job you get, you have to pay your dues and join. You have to get work to join. That's the catch-22 of being a Teamster to drive a truck and driving a truck to be a Teamster. But if someone will give you a gig that's under a SAG contract and you put the paperwork through, you can take the money from that first gig, maybe it's a $500 gig, and just go, I'm going to apply this to join the union. That's what I did. My first gig was a radio campaign for Enterprise Rent-A-Car where I did something like 8 spots as Jimmy from Enterprise Rent-A-Car with multiple comedic people. That campaign, that first job, paid my $800 initiation. So that's what that is. That's how that's done. But I do recommend it if you feel the work you're going to be doing is going to be union. If you're going to go, I'm going to do audiobooks for the rest of my life while I'm here and some local radio and stuff like that, in Tennessee, you're not going to get union work. They're not going to hire you through the union. They don't even look at it as something like that. But that's how you join. You know, the big problem is extras. Extras wanted to be considered part of the union. And showing up and standing in a crowd, to me, yes, you should have something, but and I don't want to get into the politics of it, but to me, you shouldn't get the same health care I do because you showed up dressed like a zombie. Are you acting? Like, are you in a restaurant, like eating? Like, I get it, but like, you know, they wanted those hours to justify that they could join. That's where it got complicated. Yeah, but cool. You guys have a great audience. I gotta go say goodbye to Dan before he flies out of here. I hope you guys learned something, and really, if we listen to the people that said, there are too many actors, there are too many artists, there are too many writers, there are too many musicians and all of that, and say, don't try it because it's too competitive, we would have none of those people. We would have no one in the arts. So if you really feel it's something you want to do, work at it, because success is not the pot of gold. Success is the journey. If you don't enjoy what you do for a living, then you are a failure. You must find what you love. and enjoy that path. I didn't know I was going to be a voice actor when I started out. I didn't know this was going to be a way that I'd be able to make a living. But I love what I do. Even the tough stuff, I love what I do. It is the journey. So don't let people discourage you, but also don't dabble. You can't wait for the phone to ring. Be proactive, and you never know what's going to happen. All right? All right, guys. Thanks.